This was actually my first ever CWA event, so I think it was a good one to go to. I heard of it through a few of my friends, and I had wanted to attend a CWA event this year because I had never been to one in the past, as I previously stated. I would say that I hadn't heard of the other two performers other than Mickey Blanco before attending the event, but all of the performances were extremely interesting and varied, and I don't know if I could pick a favorite one, I guess.
So we're gone a little bit over time, and so we're going to cut things a little bit short and cut quicker to audience questions. But as you know, our theme for the evening is code switching and recoding language. And it was fascinating just to listen to all of the presentations and to observe the various ways in which our three presenters navigated and embodied what it means to code switch in all of their various and very individual ways. And I was sitting there and I was reminded of, and some of you will know about this, last, what are we in now, spring? In the fall, we invited Norbese Philip, and I was thinking about her and her essay called Managing the Unmanageable. And one thing which she says in that essay is that she, in her work, sets out to be unmanageable. She wants to make sure that that she's not streamlined, and she doesn't want to, too many people in the world have been managed. And so it's part of her agenda to upset the status quo. And I feel that our presenters here are also of kindred spirits as well. So because we're short for time, I'm going to maybe ask a couple of questions, and you can all jump in as you see fit. And then we'll just have a couple of audience questions. So I guess maybe a good question to start out with, Mickey, I'm interested in your work and, as an artistic performer. And can you speak maybe a little bit about how, as an artistic, performer, how has your persona changed the way that you navigate or think about language?
I guess the easiest way for me to answer that is that because I have a public performer, okay, well, let me put it like this. Okay, I'm not famous, but I'm more well-known than most people, but I'm still not famous. And so let me put it like this. This is a conversation my mom and I have a lot. I feel, or let me put it like this, I don't think sometimes about the things that I say. And when I say that I don't think about them, it's not that I don't think about them. I think about them a lot before I say them. They've been well thought out. But I don't think about how far they may reach or the people they may reach because of what I do. Because I don't consider myself famous. I know what famous people are. And so I've gotten into trouble sometimes because sometimes I'll say things and I'll realize that there's been more of a ripple effect, okay, because more people saw or heard what I said, okay, than I realized. And so I think that to save myself from a lot of the bullshit that I see happen in the industry, that I have kind of like shied away from this certain kind of notoriety. And so I think that if anything, I've learned so much in the last year, just how, and like I said, and sometimes for me at first, it can feel so crippling because I really am someone that I like to see, I like to kind of like tell it like it is, you know what I mean? And even if telling it like it is somewhat painful or untrue, it's like I just feel like in all the moments of my life where I've been most untrue to myself, someone had to bluntly tell me what I was doing, you know what I mean, for me to see an error in that. And I think that what I've realized is that the more that my public persona grows or wanes, or just if different kinds of people find out about who I am or this and that, I just realized that I can't be, I realized I can't make blanket anything anymore. Like I can't make a blanket generalization about anything anymore. And I can't just say something because that's how I feel in the moment and that's how I really feel it to be, because how I truly may really feel it to be may be the complete utter opposite and maybe almost traumatic that I said that for someone else. And when you realize that something that you said so carelessly or so well thought out and educated could still cause someone trauma, you then become, and this has literally just happened to me recently, I'm literally starting to become more hyper aware that even if I think I'm saying something intelligently, being intelligent isn't the point. The point is to be compassionate.
Has these performances influenced you, or?
Yeah, it's kind of
inspired you?
Yeah, inspiration is a good word. Yeah, it's kind of shifted my view of what exactly it is for like a poetry reading and how you can incorporate a bunch of mixed media to accomplish things, I guess. It's hard to articulate, but I have a lot of ideas running through my head now about how you can communicate things, so.
I'm totally still absorbing. I don't know.
Yeah,
it probably has and will
overwhelming.
influence me. We'll see how in the future. I don't know yet.
And Jennifer, maybe one question I would have for you is, it might be useful for you to speak a little bit about the relationship between your use of the multilingual and also all of the various, I'm interested in all of the various layers that you have in your presentation. So the multilingual and the multimedia.
I think it started with this dissatisfaction with the book form and feeling like if you're going to be a writer like myself who thinks about either identity or experience or memory, writing a book that you hold in a very particular way, that you experience in a very particular way, that you move through in a certain direction, and even though you might open up to a book and switch around, that felt really unsatisfying to the kind of work that I wanted to do. And so the answer is either like, okay, no more books, which is a possibility for maybe me in the future, but I was still interested in like exploring how I could destabilize everything that I was doing and respond to that. Like, you create a poem, you put it on the page, it exists in that way, and then suddenly it's not yours, and suddenly it feels really disembodied, like literally out of my body into somebody else's hands. And because so much of my work is thinking about my body and how it's read, there was like there's something really joyful about writing something and then creating a video or a photograph or a meme that then sort of like sweeps that original text away from itself. And it was about pleasure, and it was about like, I would write something, love it, and then instantly hate it, and not wanting to feel that way. And the way that I would not feel that way is about recreating it, like re-envisioning it, either through like, the projections that I had tonight were like a lot from the book that I just wrote. And so it was about creating vectors and sort of an energy into a space that kind of didn't feel so energetic once it was put into that form.
So how did you hear about tonight?
I was part of the creative writing graduate group that organized it.
Okay, so you know everything about tonight?
No, I don't know everything about tonight.
Really?
We don't really know what the performers are going to do, so.
So fully open mind tonight?
Yes.
Expectations?
No, I just think it's going to be amazing. We're really excited that Mickey Blanco and Jennifer Tomeo and Kathy are here.
What do you think of the entire performance?
I thought it was amazing. I think that it was very diverse, and the different I don't mean just ethnically, and like in terms of identity, but the ways that people were thinking and looking at language and identity. It was kind of mind-blowing. I think it was pretty special and rare.
So do you think your conceptual thinking of the way you construct writing and whatnot, do you think it's changed after this?
Yes, I do. I think it's made me want to expand, challenge myself, think more, push my boundaries, and that's entirely exciting. Yeah.
And Kathy, you're moving into the multimedia space as well. Can you say a bit more about the direction you're going with multimedia?
I'm falling into it, I guess,
Right.
because the project itself, which I'm documenting my parents' stories, I feel like it's an important narrative. It takes this very famous film that is primarily through an American kind of GI lens, and it tilts it,
Right.
So even people watching the performance were saying they weren't looking at the main characters, they were looking for the people on the margins, right? So I find that very significant and important, and I think the thing is, I'm somebody who deals mostly with the page, but it seems to me that I think I have a little bit of a block on this project, in large part because I think the form of just having it on the page isn't quite serving it. So I'm thinking about, like, what does it look like, to have, like, just, transcribed interviews? Is that sufficient? Or should I be kind of recording them orally instead of me? Because the reason why I want the Vietnamese in there is because I don't want to erase my parents' voice, because otherwise, that's the whole project, is to preserve it, to bring it to the forefront. So I don't want to erase it, but sort of by transcribing it and having it through my voice, that's sort of erasing it. So to preserve it better, I think, like, recording it would be more true to the impetus of the project, or
Right.
recording them talking about it.
Right.
So that, to me, it's more about the formal demands of this project that is forcing me into sort of considering things that I'm not good at. I'm like always behind the wave, I'm a late adopter. Like, I just got a smartphone like 2 years ago. So, but it is sort of, it seems to be necessary because I'm dealing with a film as well. So.
Right. Yeah, thank you. There are lots of questions I could ask here, but I suspect that the audience is anxious to ask as well. So maybe we should open it up for questions.
I found that I've been using my social media and I've been using my presence in the same way that I would in entertainment, and that it's okay to do that to a certain point, but it's getting to a place where people now are starting, and I noticed this especially recently, where people feel as if, and it's fine because I'm the one that opened myself up to this, but where people can feel as if they can really pick me apart every which way. So then it becomes, well, why are you championing this but not championing that? Or why are you giving your attention to this and not that? And before you do this, before you go there, make sure that you're looking through a Western lens, and it becomes like this whole entire, let me put it like this. And I'll just say this bluntly, there is a school of white American Western liberalism who's, through their politically correctness and through their own guilt about white privilege and about trauma and about just a whole bunch of stuff, have placed these fears as parameters for everyone to live by. And the same thing that someone who grew up in a two-parent, upper middle class home, who was able to have his or her parents paid for full education at UC Berkeley. We don't have the same issues. I don't have the same issues as you. So therefore, yeah, you can tell me, oh yeah, make sure when you go to this country, okay, that you're not looking at them with this Western, lens. And I can take that, and then I can learn from it and proceed cautiously. But don't make all of your fears that society has given and taught you, or that you inhabit, my fears, because we don't have the same fears, because we don't come from the same place. So lately, I've been realizing that in making yourself vulnerable, you learn a lot, which has been the best thing, because there have been times recently where I've said certain things or I've asked certain questions, and very, very learned, very intelligent people have responded and have literally guided my thinking in a direction that it needed to be. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I've had, people just so ready, with this kind of almost like activist cynicism to pick apart every little bitty thing, you know what I mean? And that's fine too. But it's like I've realized that I've approached the direction that I'm moving in, I've approached it like I've approached, all my other projects. And I realized recently that I'm going to actually be quiet for a couple of months, at least for the next 3 months. I'm going to be very quiet about what I choose to put out there and engage, because I'm so untrained in all of these things that I'm thinking. I'm so unexperienced, you know what I mean? And the experience that I do have, I'm drawing from what I've lived. But what I just said, my reality is not every reality. So therefore, it's like I just need to be able to be conclusive in myself before I get back out there into the marketplace. You know what I mean?